everyone, welcome to these moon meditations, this time for the full moon in Aries that is happening tomorrow. So I'm doing it one day ahead so that, we can prepare for it tomorrow. So it's happening tomorrow at 12:26 Casablanca time, which is 11:26 p.m. around midday, Universal time. As I said, it's a full moon in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, and it's happening at 24 degrees, 35 minutes of Aries. So before we dive into the meaning of this moon and what it brings to us and what it awakens and what information we can use from this moon, let's just remind ourselves about what a full moon is about. Remember, the full moon is a culmination of a cycle, which means it's the end of a cycle. The moon is going to start to wane down, as in to reduce its presence and its reflection of the sun. So we're really at the peak of its cycle. This is a super moon, and it's the third super moon in a row, which means it's very close to Earth. I think it's the closest to Earth it has been this year. So that definitely amplifies its effect in everything that I'm going to say about this moon. Just multiply it by this amplification of her being closer to us. Full moons are heightened emotion, our emotions, our sensitivity. So bear that in mind. And I want to say that as an underlying statement or underlying advice for this entire period related to this full moon, just whatever thoughts, whatever actions you want to take, just breathe and think before you do anything. Because if we take let's say the impulsivity of Aries, and I'll go deeper into that in a moment. And if you take the fact that it's a full moon and a super moon, we're really like ready to go, ready to kind of fight, ready to engage in confrontation. So whatever you're thinking, whatever you want to do, just step back, breathe, ground yourself, think again. They say, turn your tongue 7 times inside your mouth before speaking a word, so that you don't fall like victim of that impulsivity that is around. So that's the full moon. Let's take a closer look at the Aries archetype. Remember, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, which means it's the sign of beginnings, it's the sign of impulse, it's the sign of acting, it's the sign of spring, where things start, where things, grow. So there's that movement of life that wants to come out and that wants to show itself to a degree. It's also the energy of a playful child that is like really impulsive like this. Its negative aspect can be what I just said earlier. It's impulsivity, acting before thinking, that sort of like heat that can affect decisions, words, behaviors. At a let's say higher level, it really is the divine spark that incarnates in the cycle of the 12 signs, and it's the first time it incarnates. So it bears the vision of the universe, the wisdom of all the patterns that constitute our culture, our experience, our society, etc. And it is there to design and to create on Earth. It really represents that axis between heaven and earth, and the kind of seed that will connect heaven to earth through all dimensions. So there's really that incredible, quality of being so fresh, connected to the divine or to the divine spark, or it being the divine spark. And it's so close, and it's so close to that divinity. And now it's going to engage into its cycle of incarnation. So in that, it's full of light. And that's why it has that impulsivity. It's like a spark that can ignite so many things. The mantra of Aries is I am, which really translates that heaven to earth axis. So one of the big themes for this moon is it's a time for deep healing. And before we dive into why and how and which planets are affecting us for that healing or bringing us healing, I want to remind us all about the fact that healing can take different forms, and sometimes it can take painful ones. It can be painful to start healing. And it's really important to remember that. A lot of healing starts with that. Why? Because for things to be healed, they must come to the surface first so that we can see them before we start healing them. And that moment where things come to the surface can be very painful moments, because it's the moment we recognize the conflict that we have within ourselves, that we have with others, whatever conflict. I'm saying conflict in its widest sense, like a dissonance that exists within us, that was in our unconscious, and now comes out to our consciousness. And that moment, most of the times, is painful, because then we recognize a dissonance within. That's never a nice thing to recognize. And it can take form in actual conflicts in our lives, in our material lives. It can be conflicts with people, it can be things that we feel we can't achieve, or we feel frustration with, etc. So I'd like you to pay attention to all these things that are frustrating, whatever they are, and see them as something that is asking to be healed, or is asking to be considered from a different perspective. And most of the times, we need to go through that pain for a moment. I don't recommend we dwell on it and we just swim in it for ages, because that can drain our energy. But we need to experiment it, to experience it, to really understand its ins and outs. And it's even a good thing to do, to allow ourselves to be kind of transpersed by this frustration or whatever emotion it's bringing to us, so that we understand it. And then we can start searching for ways to integrate whatever is happening, to understand, to find alternatives, and to go beyond, to transcend this conflict and this frustration. So that's a very important thing to bear in mind in general, and in particular with this moon, because we will see that the planets are really giving us help for every stage of what I just described, which is really the cycle of life, which goes through the 4 stages that you probably remember: expression, experimentation, integration, and transcendence. And those conflicts, things that we need to heal, they're no different. They go through the same, because they're actually challenges that are here to help us. And they follow the cycle of life, the 4 seasons of life. So this moon is a true healing portal. It starts with the moon being in conjunction with Chiron. Remember Chiron, the wounded healer, the one that taught Hercules, among others, and the one that speaks about our deepest wounds. We all have Chiron somewhere in our chart. At the moment, it is in Aries, in the I am. And it's usually, Chiron speaks about where we have our essential wound. And in general, it speaks about the wounds that we have that are waiting to be healed. So this conjunction speaks about wounds coming to our awareness, and that really can stir really strong emotions. Multiply that by the full moon, the supermoon, and everything else, and you get a really explosive cocktail emotionally, which can go to physical symptoms. You know, it can be so strong that you have physical reactions to whatever is happening. So that's the first, let's say, the beginning of that information about this moon being a healing portal. Then, as you know, a full moon is when the sun and the moon are in opposite signs. So the moon is in Aries and the sun is in Libra, its opposite sign. Remember, Libra is the one that wants to bring balance to things. So it's shining its light from Libra into Aries, but most importantly, the sun is conjunct an incredibly powerful star, fixed star called Arcturus. And it's conjunct to the minute, as in like they're really like together in the exact same point in the sky. Who's Arcturus? Remember, before I get into what is Arcturus, master stars and fixed stars are super, super powerful energies that bring to us very subtle, very elevated, and very strong information that sometimes they're so fine that they can affect our field without us being aware of them if we don't really tune into that information. So who's Arcturus? Arcturus is the guardian of the West. It's the one that shows the way. It's related to the age of Aquarius and the Christ energy. So just that information is huge. And it's so helping us getting into the age of Aquarius, which is, we're in the transition into that. It's the last star, let's say, fixed star in Libra, and as such, it's really helping us transmute. So if we think again of about the cycle that I just described, about how the healing process happens, this is helping us transmute it. So we already have some help, and we have more coming from Arcturus. It's also a star that helps us bring to our consciousness what our soul needs to see. So it acts at a very deep level in conjunction with what the moon is doing with Chiron. So we can have those aha moments where we see patterns that maybe we have lived by forever, and we just see, oh my God, that's the pattern that I've been going through for ages, and that's why I can't achieve X, Y, Z, etc. So you start seeing things that were never available to you to see before. It's like another veil being lifted in front of your eyes. So it's incredibly valuable and precious help from Arcturus. Another thing that I love about this master star is that it requires us to understand the law of cause and effect, which translates into to take responsibility for our actions and to take responsibility in whatever conflict we find ourselves in or going through. And it asks us to, ask ourselves the question, what is my responsibility in this conflict, in this frustration? So it helps us get out from the victim consciousness that is, why is this happening to me? It's not what it is happening to you. It's what information do I have within, what pattern do I have within that makes it that I'm experiencing these effects. So what cause resides within that creates that effect? And that way we take back our power. Do you understand? It's really, really essential to overcome any wounds or any frustrations we are experiencing. So to get out of the conflict, we need to do the work. of being honest with ourselves and recognizing what is it. It doesn't mean that it's your fault. It's taking responsibility is not taking the blame. Taking responsibility is recognizing that there is a pattern within that creates such an effect. Whether because it is whatever happened in your childhood or whatever trauma you've experienced, that's something else. And that, let's say, is a cause maybe from a choice from another plane. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is to concentrate on whatever conflict you're going through, to see and identify your share of responsibility, and in all honesty, and just take it so that you can overcome it. So Arcturus is really the one who helps us become alchemists. So it's incredibly beautiful and powerful if we allow ourselves to open up to that level of vulnerability as well, where we recognize our weaknesses. That's also what it is when we take responsibility. We accept to see our deepest wounds and to accept them without blame, without unconditionally, if you want, is another good word, and so that we can move on into something else. At an energetical level, it helps heal the wounds. Arcturus helps heal the wounds and the negative memories in our field, in our aura. And it helps regenerate our chakras. So it's kind of a super maxi bonus package of energy and of information to help us do that work and to alchemize whatever we need to alchemize at this moment. So that's part one of the healing portal, which just in itself, I would say, is way enough work to do. But we have more help. We have another incredibly powerful geometry that is happening in the sky, which is a cardinal grand cross. It's literally a cross that is formed by several planets, and it's cardinal because it's connecting cardinal signs through the planets that are in those signs at the moment. And I'll get into what they mean. So we have the moon and Chiron in Aries that are forming a square with Mars in Cancer, the Sun and Arcturus in Libra, and Pluto in Capricorn. And those are the 4 cardinal signs. So if we look at each sign and the symbolism of each planet, we really are talking about the cycle that I just spoke about earlier, with the moon and Chiron in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, the sign of expression, where the wounds gets expressed. Then Mars in Cancer is about experimentation. It's the strength, the will, the action to really experiment whatever we need to experiment. And then the Sun in Libra, we start the integration. It's the season that we are in right now. It's autumn, where we start to understand what's going on and start integrating it in our system. And Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto is the archetype of transcendence. If there's one, it's Pluto. And it's the last planet forming a square. So I don't know what else we need in terms of information to understand that this is the task at hand. This is the work that we are required to do at the moment. And as always, we've got huge amounts of help if we're willing to put the effort. This is what we're going to be connecting with, by the way, in the meditation tonight, to this cycle and to this work of transmutation. That's one big theme. The other big theme for tonight is related to the masculine and the feminine, or the positive and the negative. Remember that we're under the influence of two archetypes. I am with Aries, and I balance Libra. Aries, that's where the moon is, and Libra is when the sun is. And we have, you'll understand why I'm reminding ourselves of that in a moment. We have another cross that is being formed by several planets in the sky. We have Venus in the last degree of Scorpio that is opposing Uranus in Taurus, which is speaking about breaking through, about sudden big changes like revolution, awakening, innovation, hidden dirty secrets being revealed. That's one. We have Mars, archetype of the masculine, opposing Pluto in the last degree of Capricorn, collapse of structures, structures being burned down and reconstructed from their ashes, like phoenix kind of idea. And these four planets are connecting in another geometry in between themselves as a cross, but also as a squarish shape. And this is amplified by a grand trine in water connecting to Mars, Venus, and Neptune. What sense does it make, all of this? Well, the big thing, the first big meaning it has is that both energies, feminine, masculine, archetypes, positive, negative, and their expression in our lives need to go through deep transformation at an individual level, but also at a collective level. At an individual level, I invite you to take a look within at how these archetypes are expressed within you and in your life. And think of all the attributes of these two polarities: positive, negative, active, receptive, extrovert, introvert, feminine, masculine, etc. Remember, just side note, we are currently in the Yosoi path, in the month of Libra, in the emotional week, and a lot of these dualities or polarities are being explored. So you can, if you need ideas, you just go to the yosoi.red and you look at all the archetypes for the month of Libra, and you'll have ideas of how this polarity can be expressed within. So that's the impact individually, but also at a collective level. For sure, this speaks about the balance between the feminine and the masculine energies in our societies and our cultures. So again, through all these aspects of these polarities. The grand trine involving Neptune, Mars, and Venus reinforces that message of transformation. Why? Because Neptune, which rules Pisces and is in Pisces at the moment, is called the visionary. And it deals with, it has the attributes of dissolution, it dissolves things, as well as it brings inspiration. So it has these qualities of making whatever is dissolve and bringing inspiration for whatever comes. So these two geometries are telling us that the archetypes, positive, negative, masculine, feminine, they need to dissolve to re-emerge as something new that is aligned with the I am, and that brings more balance of these two energies in the world. And you know how the feminine has been a recurring theme over the past, let's say, almost year now in astrology, or in the alignments that we have done together. So it's coming under different aspects every time. And this time, I really like the way it's being brought up this time, because it's under the, it's really talking about both archetypes, not just one, which was sometimes super highlighted just as the feminine energy, but this time it's bringing the two together and inviting us to revise both. And I really like that. Another way to look at these, let's say, geometry that involves the masculine and the feminine is to see it as an engine, as energy that is going to help us resolve the previous square. You know, the one that speaks about the cycles that I mentioned earlier. So to help us transform. And we can use it as the engine, as Uranus and Pluto are igniting both archetypes born by Venus and Mars. I hope you're following me. It can get a little bit complex when you don't have the actual geometries in front of your eyes, but in essence, there's a lot of energy available to help us go through that cycle, let's say. So there's the help to go through each stage that is being brought a lot by Arcturus, but not just Arcturus, but also to do that cycle, we have like an engine that helps us do that, do the rounds. And that's the main function of polarity. It's to create movement, right? So as a conclusion, this is the time to redesign our lives, to put it simply and in a few words. Really, because every time we're getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Probably you've heard that many people say that, you know, you've heard of the idea of Earth splitting into different timelines, and many people say that at this very moment, the Earth is splitting right now, literally. And I'm referring to that image because I think it's very, regardless of its veracity, whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter so much, but I like this image, especially because I believe that this is what is happening within us. Earth is following its course and it's a being in its own right. But what's happening within us? This is what we have the, let's say, opportunity to do, to choose which timeline we want to jump in. So it's the time to work within ourselves on the life we want to create. And by thinking of that, we're tuning into a particular timeline. Are you following me? Remember, Aries is the one that holds the vision, the divine spark, the inspiration. It holds the wisdom from all the healing that you have been doing and you still are doing, and all our history, all the wisdom that we carry within us as an individual. And it has all that, and from that it can create in the matter. So this is how the I am axis is established. And I want to share with you one last thing before we continue, is the Sabian symbol of the degree where the moon is at the moment. The Sabian symbol is each degree of the zodiac. Whenever the moon hits that degree, it awakens a certain energy that was channeled by, I can't remember the name of that person, but each degree is associated with a particular energy. And for this degree that we are experiencing at the moment, exactly tomorrow around lunchtime, it goes like this. The sight of an autumn leaf brings to a pilgrim the sudden revelation of the mystery of life and death. So you can see that in this sentence, there's a lot of the concepts that I touched on are embedded. So the moment where we hit autumn is the moment we start to integrate. And the pilgrim is us walking on our path and understanding by seeing how the leaf is falling and is going to decompose and enrich the soil and create nutrients for the tree and for new seeds. Then we alchemize the information that we are confronted with. That's the mystery of life and death. That's what it is. It's understanding that death is the beginning of new life. And on that note, so we're asking now the people of Agartha if they have any further advice for this full moon in Aries. Okay. This is what we got today. The solar spirit from the Toltecs, the ancient Toltecs. Beautiful card. And let's see what that means. So as usual, I'll be doing a translation. So on the spot. So please bear with me. All right. Solar spirit. The ego is a form of auto-construction induced by the fear through ignorance. It has its use, but we need to learn to dominate it. We, people of the sun, know the existence of the illusions of matter and its creations. The purification of the ego is one of the fundamental apprenticeships to allow the soul to be free to be beyond the limitations created by pride, jealousy, hatred, or anger. We learn very early to purge these feelings by connecting to our central sun, which is an interstellar portal located in the region of our belly. Resentment cloud our thoughts. No, if resentment cloud your thoughts, make sure you purify the suffering that have been induced by your ego and find the light, the salvation light in the solar spirit. The harmonious breath and the visualization of your sun can help you in this process. And the key for this message is the harmony finds itself outside of the limitations of the ego. I'm showing you the card again. So we have a big sun with a character in there. So this is very related to the I am, clearly, because it's reconnecting with our inner wisdom, our own sun, really. All right. Let's go now to the meditation. Find a comfortable position, ideally seated with your spine elongated, vertical. And let's start with a few deep breaths. Take a deep breath in through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And with the exhale, let go of any tensions, any thoughts, any excess of energy. If you feel the need to, take a moment to stretch and yawn. And when you're ready, come back to a sitting position. Relax your shoulders, your lower belly, your face. And let's focus on our breath. Inhale and exhale through the nose. And place your entire attention on your breath. Now with the inhale, send your breath along the spine, up to your crown, and with the inhale, open a lotus flower in your crown, and with the exhale, send your breath down to your root, growing roots into earth. And at the inhale, go back up, open flower, exhale, go down the spine, and grow roots, perhaps further, perhaps deeper. Continue with this cycle. Breathe in, open the lotus flower in your crown. Breathe out. Go down the spine and grow roots. A few more cycles. And at the end of the next exhale, release your breath and come back to normal breathing. And take a moment to notice the axis that you built along your spine and see it as the trunk of a tree. Feel the life force coming from Earth, nourishing you through your roots and flowing inside you, going up in the form of a white light, running into your body, running through your veins, and following an ascending movement. And as it goes up, extend your arms like branches. And now notice from above another light coming down through your crown. It's a shimmering golden light coming from the sun, and a star right next to it that you recognize as Arcturus. As it comes down, it touches your crown, awakening a violet light that starts radiating from the top of the head all around you. And the light comes in through your crown and touches your third eye at the center of your head. And from there, starts radiating a deep blue indigo light, filling the space around you. That golden light keeps going down and touches your throat. And from there shines a vibrant blue light that expands in all directions. The flow of light continues to go down to your heart. And from there, radiant green light, emerald light, starts shining all around, in all directions. The light continues to go down and hits your solar plexus, that starts glowing in a beautiful yellow gold light that shines all around in all directions. The light continues its course along your spine to your sacrum. That starts shining brightly in an orange light that spreads all around. And the light continues its trajectory down to your root that starts glowing in a deep red light that expands and expands all around. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And observe those lights swirling around you. Glowing and shining, creating beauty all around. And you notice, as you observe this light around you, that new leaves and flowers are growing from the branches. They attract bees and butterflies. And you feel a nice temperature around you, nature awakening. The flow of light inside, active and vibrant. And you understand that you are experiencing the season of spring. When life is in its ascending movement. As the flow of life continue to flow within, I see the flowers turn into fruits that ripen into delicious foods for birds and other animals around me. I feel warmth around me, joy, celebration, and I recognize the qualities of summer, the season of full maturity, of experimentation. And slowly, I notice that the leaves dry out on my branches, and the last fruits very ripe now fall on the ground at my feet. I feel the flow of life within getting quieter, very present, but just a little bit quieter. And I understand this is the season of autumn, the time to integrate the experiences of the previous seasons. I observe the leaves and the fruits slowly decomposing and disintegrating at my feet. And I understand that they are transforming to nourish the soil that is around me. And as they transform, they reveal the seeds that will gather forces through earth, feed off all the nutrients of the decomposed fruits so that they can grow into new trees. And I understand this is the time of winter, the moment to go within, the moment to transcend all my experiences and allow myself to find a new path, new expressions of myself. For I know that this time of calm, of going within, is followed by the next season, spring. The season where I can express myself in new forms. I take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I acknowledge the cycle of life that governs all beings, for it's the very nature of life and the tool for its evolution. And in that, I find the strength to embrace my conflicts and allow them, and allow myself to go through that cycle of life so that I can reap the fruits of my experiences and transform every challenge into the wisdom that will nourish my path. And I recognize that both positive and negative, masculine and feminine, are aspects of myself that are essential for my growth and my evolution. For they are the polarities that sets me in motion and allow me to go through that cycle of life. I take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I see both lights, the one ascending coming from Earth and the one descending coming from the Sun and Arcturus. I see them flowing within, meeting in my heart, swirling around each other, and with their movement, my heart opens, unlocked by the movement of these two forces. And I enter that space. I enter and I find peace. I find beauty. I find harmony. And I recognize that place as my home, my origin, and my destination. The place of eternity within. I take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I bring my hands to my heart. And I calibrate with the nasal sound. Now recognize that I am the one that finds harmony and balance by allowing myself to go through the cycle of life, meeting the challenges and reaping the fruits of wisdom that will nourish my path. And in that way, I find balance and I find my axis between heaven and earth. I am, I am, I am. I bring that information all around my body, massaging, caressing my body from head to toe, from my toes to my head. I stretch and yawn. And when I'm ready, I open my eyes. Thank you very much once again for sharing this moment with me. I wish you a beautiful full moon, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.